we had a lot of different things, through the years.
How much money did it cost to rent out Carnegie Hall back then?
Oh, I don't remember. It was then within reason.
But still,
We're talking just a number of thousands of dollars. Today, it would cost you to put on a concert 40,000 and up to put on a concert. The only ones that can put them on today are companies,
that are funded.
Absolute or whatever. You understand? That's the only way you can do it there, unless you want to lose money and you want to use your own money.
Is it because of the union costs, or
the union costs, everything combined? Tremendous. The big overhead to keep those places going.
Advertising budget's probably.
Budget is 10 times what it used to be. One of the reasons that off-Broadway and the others, and even Broadway shows, couldn't continue because you were paying unbelievable sums of money, especially to the New York Times. Very, very difficult. The One More Time revival, the show that came to Broadway, they had about $1.5 million budget. It was gone within a month. So those are the difficulties. Those years, those weren't the major difficulties. You can still rent places. There was room. There was small theaters. There were small concert halls, and so forth. See.
Okay, so I gather one reason for starting the Village Gate is so that you don't have to deal with these halls. And you
Yes,
can just do it all yourself
well,
and do what you want.
And you didn't have to pay a much more every time, a rental and insurance and so forth. Absolutely.
Was there some moment when you realized you'd had enough of promoting concerts? And you wanted to do it yourself at your own space. That's what I meant.
Well, that's what I did, yeah. That's how the Village Gate came about. I put on...
There wasn't a magical moment, though, when you...
No, I just came... Well, I knew what the Village... I knew that the Village was the place. You had Washington Square Park. You had the folkies were there every Sunday. I mean, this was going on, the whole atmosphere. Some of the folk artists, and I think Alex played some of the coffee shops. The Gaslight had opened, a lot of other clubs. But 1955, when I started with the concerts, but I went through a number of things. I put Carlos Montoya in Town Hall. I found Tom Lehrer in Washington Square Park, and I was introduced to him, and I had heard his record, and I flipped out. Because he had sold 600,000 records and nobody knew it. Never was on Billboard's chart. But I mean, he was so well known all over the United States. So I went up to him, and he had never done a concert. So I went up to him and I said, "Mr. Lehrer, my name is Arthur Lugoff. I do this." And he says, "Yes." And what can I do for you? I said, "Well, I would like to book you to do a concert." He says, "Well, why should I do a concert?" I said, "I'll give you $1,000." He said, "Fine." So that's how it started. So that first concert was with Hunter College with Odetta, and I became Tom Lehrer's manager, and we put on many concerts. We did about 3-4 farewell concerts in Town Hall, sold them all out, and the Village Gate came into being in 1958, and I had booked Carnegie Hall and put Tom Lehrer in, and we sold out Carnegie Hall. And that night, he came down. Tom Lehrer never worked the gate, but he came down that night. I was still his manager and impresario. He came down to the gate, and we were celebrating one of the opening night parties. So I remember that. And they never recorded an album at the gate. And I put him on in Chicago, Bailey Hall, and we sold out. And I had a big house in St. Louis. And he played around in different places.
All right. Actually, before getting to starting the actual nuts and bolts of starting the gate, you just reminded me. How did you put on Nichols and May in concert? How did that come to happen? And talk about how you first were aware of them and how this concert presentation came about.
Oh boy, I'm trying to remember exactly. I was very much aware of Second City. I went to Chicago a number of times. I knew about them. They performed. They performed at the Blue Angel, and I liked the comedy, and I certainly, when you brought up on radio, all you heard was Fred Allen and Jack Benny and so forth. But this was different. This was satire, and it was in the groove that Second City was doing satire, and I thought they were terrific. So I approached Jack Rollins, their manager. And he says, "You sure it'll work?" I said, "What?" I said, "Sure it'll work. Why not?" I said, "A stage is a stage." I said, "The material is the material. People love them, they'll come." So what I did, I booked them for 2 concerts, and I sold out.
Where?
Town Hall, and it wasn't recorded, and I had to put down that it was Jack Rollins and Art DeLugoff presented, although
It was your idea.
it doesn't matter. I got paid. He didn't.
Yeah.
He just wanted his name in there.
Uh-huh.
So it was Art DeLugoff, Jack Rollins, or Jack Rollins, Art DeLugoff. Okay. See, this is what a lot of people got their names on when they wanted copyrights. If they got the music, so they put the name on, so they would get a royalty. No, this wasn't for him getting paid, but he got on. So we sold out both concerts, and I was very proud to say I was the first one to put them in concert.
Do you remember the year?
No, I
About, more or less.
early 60s.
Oh, already you had the gate. Oh, okay. That was early 60s. That was after the gate. Okay.
Shortly after, I think,
Yeah.
or shortly before. I put on Michelle Legrand in Carnegie Hall while I had the gate. I put on a number of concerts of artists. I did Paul Anka at Hunter College and lost my shirt. There were more people on the stage with Paul Anka than there were in the audience. Well, they didn't have a box office. It was an out-of-the-way place. It didn't work. Then I had.
They didn't have a box. But you had other successful concerts.
Oh yeah. But I would say I had.
Didn't have that excuse.
I had over 90%. Winnings. I'm not going to complain about that, but there were losses. I put on concerts, and the oldest. What they used to say about the audience. Sal Urok supposedly said this. I believe that if you put on a show, a concert, it says if the audience doesn't want to come, nothing will stop them.
Right. It's like Samuel Goldwyn talking about
one of those things.
He talks about a flop. He says people stayed home in droves.
Same idea.
Same idea.
Yeah, and Lenny Bruce, I went to L.A. one time. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. The guy did a lot of jazz out of that place. I remember him. It'll come to me. It was a famous club. So I'm there. There's maybe 10, 15 people in the audience. And Lenny Bruce gets up and he says, today is so on and so forth. He says, so many people got up this morning and they all said, we're not going to go and see Lenny Bruce. So, what the hell was the name of that club? Okay, it'll come.
All right. So, at some